I respect anyone who's willing to try it, but historically it's just not the most reliable go-to. Perhaps a room for some scaling this time around, although there's a little voice in the back of my head that I thought I had fully silenced after Worlds 24 that's saying G2 Orianna Nocturne. And that makes me nervous for Fnatic because I was like, oh, maybe the best path for them is to set upset on hyperscaling, and that would make that impossible.
Definitely make things more difficult, but I'd like to see G2 kind of steer away from it, to be honest. I think there's enough meta picks that we can still see them play. Like, even when you look at Caps, like, he's looked great on things like the Annie as well, and just kind of playing that setup, being that more kind of facilitator. And even in the last game as well, the Talia walls were fantastic in splitting up, particularly upset from being able to play the game. But immediate Neeko. Yeah,
and this, of course, an incredible pick from Mikyx, one of the few players in the world who consistently uses the cannon minion technique when they want to dive, and it's one of the few teams in the world that pretty much always just dives bot lane tier 1 within the first 6 minutes of the game, so it does make a lot of sense. But to first pick it means conceding a lot of other priority champions. G2 pick of the litter in terms of the remaining mid laners and junglers. Wouldn't be surprising to see Jhin immediately locked.
I think you can go for the Jhin, because I think the Neeko essentially stops you from being able to go Wukong, because Wukong kind of wants a couple of levels to be able to play the game, whereas if you're already saying they can go for the dive on boss, not having a strong jungle to try and combat that is going to be a little difficult. So you force the Jhins out. I think you can still go for Nani here if you really want to on a G2 side and play for that facilitating role in the mid lane. And when you look towards the AD carries, even honestly looking for things like the Sivir just to help out in oh wow, okay.
Karma, so just looking to respond. It looks like with the support pick, technically still a flex, of course, but feels like most likely going into that bot lane matchup.
If I'm Fnatic, I think I might actually pivot out of early tower dives here or early aggression in the jungle and actually take the Wukong for ourselves. I think you still, I think you still end up with decent pressure in the fight, and there you take the Annie as well. So you've got great mid jungle now, you've got great team fight setups, and when you've got the Karma, more than likely Ezreal is going to be the next rotation here. That's a very strong combo on that bottom side, and it means that you just instead go for more team fights than lane focus.
Yeah, and I really like having some champions who want to be in close range against a Jhin. So often we see the Jhin into these longer range compositions where it's all just gets so much value. G2 opting now for the Galio. But Fnatic, very clear what their composition wants to do, right? We know that the early stages of the game for the Wukong might not be as favorable as they are for the Zhao, but this is a team that can push off, that can kick fights off. G2 responding with the Galio to hopefully mitigate at least some of that magic damage, dissuade some of those all-in options.
The only other thing I'd be worried about for Fnatic is things like a Jinx and these kind of very long range, because although you have some good range, the ability to actually access backline isn't really there. And if you end up with, hey, we go for Jinx, we've got a Karma enabled speeding her up, making her a really big threat in team fights. We have good peel for her in the Galio, and then you can even have Broken Blade on, play tank and play for that more engage role. I think you're set up relatively well for success as Fnatic, and it just means that you're on less of a ticking time bomb where you have to make plays in the early stages, and you can kind of enter into a more equal late game with G2.
Yeah, I definitely like what you're saying. Looking for that angle now is Sivir banned away, Rumble banned away. So just looking to take some comfort. Again, there's a lot of magic damage already on this team composition, but Rumble just fits perfectly into what this team comp wants to do.
And also just backline threat with the Rumble ults, again, is kind of what you're trying to mitigate here from G2. And even the Sivir just gives that speed up for people to then get access to backline. So I think G2 have already kind of identified, hey, we are probably going to go for something that's a bit more long range for Han Sam in this one. And it's going to be on Fnatic to try and gain that backline access. But
Cheeky hover, I don't know if we'll see it. So Hans, I think you're in a great position to play hyper carry.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a lot of tools to peel for the backline. Draven can interrupt the Wukong dash in. Ezreal would be even safer. So Karma, Ezreal, God, casting my mind back to like 2016. The last time I think this was like the #1 bot lane in competitive, but it just has so much prio early levels. Before first base, this is just a disgusting 2v2. And now Upset opting to not go for one of these hyper carry options. Instead, it's going to be the Jhin, but the immediate response of the Rek'Sai to the blind pick Cassante. The return of Rek'Sai top here in the LEC.
Yeah, so she did end up getting changed coming on towards this patch. Her E got some nice little buffs where she does a lot more damage off it. So I'm excited to see now how this is going to pan out in towards the top side. Fnatic did end up missing a ban on that last one, so it's not just a bug. They did end up missing a ban, but from Fnatic's side, we already talked about it, very clear. Dive in onto the back line, everything go, everything enables itself and tries to snowball the team fight out of control. Whereas for G2, a bit more kind of peel while having that engage, thanks to Rek'Sai, that nice Galio Rek'Sai combo there as well. So I think it's going to be honestly an all-out brawl.
I like when we're going to see a fist fight, frankly. G2 already up 1-0. Fnatic looking to bring this one back. Upset set onto utility in the form of the Jhin. Mayhaps we see focus elsewhere in the early game. Some love for Mark Brasta in the audience. Legend that he is.
I'm excited, man. This is game one. May not have been exactly what a lot of fans were hoping for, but it was a bit of a banger. And now we get to see some of the new picks on the patch, get to see a little bit of a spooky bot lane from G2 as well. I'm all for it.
Hell yeah, we do. Let's get into game 2. Fnatic, can they fight back, bring us to a game 3? Going to be a tall task, because remember, we said semi-globals. Ooh, that was a problem. And Caps has like one again. And this is a role that Caps has been comfortably slipping into, right? The role of utility. The Talia, obviously a control mage, but does bring in that semi-global utility, often a setup tool. Galio, it's a similar story.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
But I think as much as I would like to talk about any of that, I think it's said for the first time in forever, we're going to talk about a K'Sante lane. And it is definitely not because of the K'Sante. Instead, I think it's important that we talk about Rek'Sai, right? You mentioned some of the changes. For people who don't know, she did receive a bit of a revert, it's a bit of a rework. So old school Rek'Sai fans will already know this, but when your Fury is fully stacked, love that graphic, thank you, production. Yeah, you're going to do true damage, which is what it used to be. More frequent knockups at higher ranks, so it used to be 10 seconds flat. Now at max rank of W, it would be 6 seconds, although we don't expect to see W max second. And then the last one, of course, the most important, Rob, is that ultimate.
Yeah, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, change from missing HP to max percent HP damage has been a really nice buff, but also then just the fact that you're able to get the max axe true damage is super nice into a lot of these tanks, and also having that cooldown up significantly quicker just makes it a bit of a nuisance specifically for the likes of K'Sante and that. And that's really what we're seeing it picked into this type of matchup where you can expose that a huge amount of time.
And Broken Blade has been an enthusiast of Rek'Sai top for a while. Of course, last time we saw Rek'Sai top, it was nerfed because essentially you could stack the Fury too quickly and the healing was too much. So this was just an unkillable champion. Now, from looking at Broken Blade's solo queue, I saw some tank Rek'Sai, high-level Korean solo queue. Seems like a lot of mixtures. There's some Titanics going around, so we'll see exactly what he wants to do in this particular matchup. But you can see already a lot of aggressive early trading.
Either way, it should get good control on this top side, and I think this has kind of been sick to see from BB is, again, the flexibility of his champion pool. Like, this is a guy that for the longest time was able to bring out stuff. We got to see the Warwick back last year, but now we get Kled and Rek'Sai. Like, he's been very quick at picking up these champions and really getting them to full effect. And I think it's great to see him kind of back into a confident position after a lot of people kind of put question marks on his performance this spring.
Okay, I need you to... It's been a long year. Was it last year or was it winter that the Warwick was played?
I think he played in winter as well, didn't he?
I know he played it in winter. I just couldn't remember if it was also last year. My perception of time is slipping away.
I'm pretty sure he did both.
A year of League of Legends. I'm going to trust you on that one. I'm not too worried about it. I was just curious, you know? It's like, what day is it, Cap? What a week, Captain. It's Tuesday. That's just how I'm feeling right now. It's Fnatic. Still fighting for control on the bottom side. Obviously, a lot better tools for G2 this time around to match the pressure, potentially even outpush. Again, mid lane, mid lane, mid lane. Poby versus Caps, Poby versus Caps, Poby versus Caps. It's the title card. It's the big fight. It's everything we wanted to see. Except for in game one, it wasn't anything we wanted to see because they didn't do anything. They did nothing. And that's fine. I think it overall favored G2 because they're the ones who were content. And Poby, despite the fact that he has the superior scaling comp or scaling champ, wasn't able to do much. So we see a bit of trading here, although see how far Razork actually wants to take this. SkewMond does just dash out to safety, but this game with a Galio and an Annie, I think mid lane going to be a lot more of a focus.
Yeah, I think it was just the ability for Fnatic to try and play around their bottom lane was snuffed out by G2 really, really well, which meant that we never really got that focus on mid.
Rob locked up, a lot of immediate CC, extra healing coming from the Karma Flash to the wall. Razork just finds a quick kill.
Razork was having none of that immediately following that flash over the wall, and Labrov just caught out in a weird place.
Yeah, that was incredibly awkward. Of course, you know, a small mistake that is going to have a big ripple effect is accelerating the Wukong early is pretty devastating. Again, level 6 for Razork, the big goal for him to get there. And yeah, Labrov, a few unfortunate deaths in the previous game, but ultimately always in favor of a kind of a greater good for the team. This one, which just was bad. Wasn't any kind of good.
It's also the fact you end up losing control on this bottom side. Upset gets a nice reset timer. He's going to be in a better spot. You don't get to dictate the pace of the game as much, and that's a lot of the reason why you kind of pick this Ezreal. Karma is for lane dominance. If you end up dying early, you're just not going to be able to show that as much.
It's definitely true, and also being flashless on a ranged support like this, especially one that lacks immediate hard CC, can be really terrifying as Razork already, you know, approaching level 5, can start to look towards the bottom lane at level 6. Karma shielding, Karma healing, not too bad, but Labrov's not going to need to play flawlessly until those sums are back up.
It also puts a lot of pressure on towards SkewMond, because this was kind of where you wanted to go for the Xin Zhao, as we talked about, to have a bit more of that early pressure. Now already down a kill in respect of Razork makes it a bit more difficult for you to have impact. I think he can still try and play around Poby, especially actually now that he's just TP back into lane. Maybe there's an angle to try and make something happen, but if you end up matching Razork and you overextend his SkewMond in the trade with the early Sheen picked up for Razork, it can make it a bit more difficult.
Definitely not where you want to be, right? Love to get that early acceleration for the Xin, love to get those early ganks. Sundered Sky ahead of schedule can often just be a massive game changer, especially in the first few skirmishes where champions really just don't have the damage to finish those kills. Mikyx still fishing for plays, of course, on the top side. We checked in on Broken Blade and Oscar. Unsurprisingly, Broken Blade is winning the war of attrition. The healing coming in from the Fury. Oscarinin not really enough damage to threaten. Also, of course, mana reliant, which Rek'Sai isn't. So the joy of Rek'Sai top is back. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Poby just going to leverage the bear to get pushed over Caps. Neither of them, of course, with access to the TP. So this could put Caps pretty far down. Does opt to stick around. Mikyx pretending to be a minion, catching out Labrov. Labrov thought it was fake, but it was real long upset. Finds the kill. Oh, that is not the start G2 we're looking for.
Wait a second.
Caps, Poby, Caps. He's living, he's fine. Not even close.
Oscar needs to be careful though. That's 15% max HP damage on Broken Blade's ultimate. And he was certainly getting below that level, but still, Fnatic, this is better. From what we saw in the last game was them burning summoner spells, not being able to capitalize. Now they're burning more summoner spells after capitalizing.
Continuing to capitalize, but the early levels were good in the previous game as well. Remember, we saw it on the desk. There was a lead for the bot lane 2v2. This game we expected to be harder for Fnatic to find that lead, but again, Labrov caught out 2 times back-to-back. It's a devastating start for G2. We'll see if Broken Blade maybe can make the difference on the top side. Or if G2 can find an angle on a play. Their team play overall in the previous game felt much more together, as we see an invade on the top side, ready to potentially dive Oscar here.
Razork's read this. He's so close to level 6. Would love to be able to pick up his wolves to try and help out. We're going to go for BB.
Going under tower. Has a lot of tunnels to just try and escape. And oh, he's just going to laugh one off.
Honestly, though, that alleviated so much pressure for Fnatic, who still are moving in towards this top side. They rotate the upside of Mikyx up here. Obviously, Voidgrub is up and available, but it denies SkewMond from being able to steal away some of these camps and denies a potential dive on towards Oscarinin. So good protection from Fnatic. And now G2, with the TP from Broken Blade to the bottom side, I think are just going to completely forego any sort of contest on towards the Voidgrubs.
Yeah. And you can see now, it's a lot harder for G2 to just take full control in the context of the 2v2. Labrov forced a sidestep, but also the early death giving Upset quick access to the swiftness boots, which just makes so much of the poke harder to land. Mikyx messing with Labrov, I think it's safe to say. Successful in one of his mind games so far, and Broken Blade beginning the proxy. Perhaps just a march to the mid lane.
There is good vision from G2 to spot out exactly where Razork is. Knew he's going towards mid, Caps backs off. Now Poby, a little bit of pressure, but
you can hear the thumper. No. No sandworms today. But G2 have access. Priority in the mid lane. The uncertainty of where Broken Blade is means they'll at least grab 1 grub. Sticking around for more is a bit of a risky proposition. Mikyx only level 5.
Lack of sweeper is hurting Fnatic here. They haven't cleared out any of the vision G2 plays.
Also, Broken Blade giving them a bit of extra free vision with the Tremor Sense. Mikyx now forced back. They do at least get the reset. Han Sama. Okay, Mikyx Heal for the movement speed to try and sidestep, and now G2 just turned right back. Oscar trying to fight Broken Blade, but again, this is a... He's a... okay. Knock up. True damage. Walks away. Well, in the Battle of Aura, I think we know who came out on top there.
But also in the battle for Voidgrubs, G2 just played it really well. They got the vision down early. There was actually no sweeper available on Mikyx or Razork, so couldn't clear any of it out. And G2 just used that information and freebies roam towards mid to just get full control. Really well played on by G2 on organizing that map state.
Yeah, and again, we've got Broken Blade on a side lane who is going to be a tough threat to deal with. And Caps as well with the potential to collapse there means G2, they don't have the same formula for success they had in the previous game. It's not quite as easy as it was with all those CC sources and Hansama and Kai'Sa. But the path starts to feel a little bit clearer for them as Labrov find a snare under Razork. Not afraid to continue posturing forward. Good sidestep on the deadly flourish. G2 looking to secure double objectives. Again, Broken Blade has been such a powerful pressure point for the team. It really has just been that battle of attrition as Poby and Caps ready to trade blows once again. Poby getting the CC down, but won't stop Caps from getting an empowered auto off.
The base damages on the Galio absolutely absurd and make it very difficult. BB getting a good trade. Oscarinin misses the W, so BB won't get knocked underneath the turret. You can see Oscarinin just constantly try and get that flick back or some knock back towards the turret so we can go for the all out, but it's just not happening.
Yeah, Broken Blade really just, again, it's still two tanky champions fighting, right? So it may not look impactful, I think, to the average player, but Broken Blade getting away with murder in so many of these circumstances. Oscar, it's so difficult for him. He wants to trade, but every time you do, you give Broken Blade Fury, and now he might just try to go all out, but Broken Blade already backing off. We'll just go right back under the ground and start healing up once again.
The knock up to deny, Oscarinin trying to get the all out over the wall as well, so... Again, this is kind of just going to stick like this. Oscarinin going to slowly be whittled down. I'm looking more towards this top side of the map again, where we're seeing a congregation of people on towards this top half. I assumed G2 were going to look for the Dragon take, but it may actually just be trying to get more vision and more pressure down, see if they can get an early Poby summoner spell, or even push him out of the lane and look for more of these plates.
Yeah. Caps has been getting very aggressive on the Poby, even in an even lane state. It seems like that is the point where G2 want to attack. And again, in the previous game when he was on Azir, it worked out so well for them in these fights. It's like Broken Blade. Yeah, that's the true damage.
Yeah, the Broken Blade has to be a little careful when he uses the ultimate because it does place you behind the Cassante who can then immediately all out. So if you're close to tower, it can be a little dangerous, but top end.
Also, the immediate, Omni Vamp that comes through. You really got to do the math right here. Is Upset. Nice fourth shot. Good damage back. Heal back from Labrov. Sidestep from Upset is good. Again, early investment in Swifties. Really valuable there.
It's been really strange, though, because we kind of see Fnatic not often in towards bot side, but like mid lane and kind of on the top side been able to get some control, but haven't been able to capitalize on it. Whereas for G2, they found these like tiny little windows they can operate on, and then are like here that they're trying to capitalize on.
Poby, knock up, SkewMond ready to fall, W flash forward, Poby able to go back, with the Cyclone coming in, and Caps might be the one in trouble. SkewMond going to try to finish the kill onto Poby, but the Bear looking to body block, Wind becomes lightning, down he goes, and SkewMond still going. Bear backing him up though, means it's favoring Razork. There's the deadly flourish from Upset just in time. Razork monkeying around on the top side, but SkewMond walking away, a blinking health bar, there's no way. Razork goes in, finds the kill, the tower back, but Razork will make it out.
Great turnaround from Fnatic. We're just saying, G2 are trying to find these moments and small windows they can play on. Poby was pushing in topside. They wanted to get the kill, but Razork there to cover. And that deadly flourish from downtown seals the deal. Again, great call from Razork to just sit in this bush and wait. Poby gets the ultimate off crucially as well to set up then for Razork to kill out Caps. And he buys so much time here. Nearly end up getting that rotation off to get another stun, but Razork with the angry Tibbers and that deadly flourish can take down SkewMond.
Yep. Felt a little bit close there. SkewMond surviving on a blinking HP bar, turned back right as the damage came in, hoping to poke Razork down enough the tower shot finish the job. It didn't. So as a result, Fnatic happy to grab those kills, putting them a little bit further behind as G2 ready once again to take control of the bottom side of the map, try to secure themselves a Drake.
There's no ultimate on Razork, and he's really where a lot of this gold difference is. 3 kills on towards the Wukong. He is massive, but there's just no real way for him to take these fights when you've got 2 mid-jungle key ultimates down.
Yeah, difficult, right? They do get the kills topside, but doesn't transition into the objective. Now the TP down from Oscar. Razork wandering in. Broken Blade still in the area. Mikyx forced out in mid lane. Broken Blade keeping it.
I think it was a
going.
misclick.
That might have been a misclick. Wrong tunnel. Now he's running. The curtains have been called. The footwork is fancy. He's moving. The TP! Is he out? Yes, he is! Well, credit to BB for escaping that situation that was totally and entirely his own fault.
But you know what? It's been a while since you played Rek'Sai. You kind of forget where the tunnels are. You know, it's
easy misclick. Honest mistake. Yeah.
That's
Caps gets a tower in the meantime. Whoa. Okay. That was a sequence of play. BB still up in gold.
Because you can see the call from G2 was, oh, they've TP'd Oscarinin down, we'll just go for the top tier one.
Yep.
And then BB was like, that sounds great, I'm going in. Oh, wait.
Might not have been intentional. Oscarinin going all out. He's not going to yield, but he might have to pretty soon here. Caps good sidestep. Oscar now in trouble, flashing back. Q3 ready to go. All of G2 retreating because they see Poby on the way. Pull back on a SkewMond is good, but it's not. I can't tell which one's Mickey. This is the worst part about being a caster.
What if they're both Mickey?
They might all be Mickey. I don't know. Anyway, there's either Mickey and or Razork on the top side in this case. It was actually Razork.
Maybe that's a new GB games that we need.
Yeah.
There's 3 characters that walk forward and you have to pick really quickly which one's actually Neeko.
But there's no way to tell.
Exactly. It's like the where's the ball here.
It's like the where's the ball. We're just going to scam them. We're going to be like, all right. Yeah, I don't know how I feel if that's the most ethical choice. But look, if the pros are down, and they won't be, we'll make them do it. Either way, that's the joy. So Poby gonna get Prey Secret out there, and again, Broken Blade just continues to be annoying. I think that is the. I'm just gonna say it, when Broken Blade is being annoying, that's peak Broken Blade. Zac top lane, Warwick top lane, Kled top lane. Like if this man is just pushing and autoing a tower once every 30 seconds.
He's a happy man.
You're in a tough position. And the tough part for Fnatic is even though they got a decent number of kills, Razork is really far ahead, the gold is still dead even.
But also he's just able to do so much because there's a ton of control on this bottom side of the map. You've got wards littered everywhere that just spot out if anyone's coming. Plus he's got the tremor sense for anyone who's trying to bypass those wards. It is incredibly difficult to make anything happen against BB.
Yeah. And he's just going to tunnel out to safety. It's time, no misclicks. We'll just walk away. G2 looking for trap. All right.
There's a lot of sounds going.
There's a lot of, I can't tell which one is the one spamming the emotes. It's either Mickey or Razork, but Mickey's now been caught out, flashback, ulti, blocking up SkewMond. But now it's Caps on the way and looking to save the day as Razork just spins his way the hell out of there, but it's TP. Oh no, going in, that was, oh god, Poby, that was not it. Odoamne now on the chase. Ulti not available, doesn't need it. Razork caught out as well, flashing, trying desperately to make it away. That was, yeah. In honor of Kobe, that TP sucked. That was real bad.
That was not.
That was bad.
Less than ideal.
That was not it.
Again, kind of been what we've been saying for Fnatic. It's, hey, you have some ideas that are working, and then it comes to a mid-game, and you overextend, there's no communication, somebody's getting caught out, and this time it might be Labrov, but it may be turning around.
They have no prio, mid or bot. Fnatic still fighting to defend their bot side jungle. G2 slowly start to pull ahead once again. So despite the fact that Fnatic are up in kills, it just hasn't mattered.
But sure, they're up in kills, but the gold is in favor of G2. They've gotten that top tower, they've gotten bot tower, they're opening up the map well, they're actually playing for a lot of their advantages, even when it looks at the CS numbers as well. It's been G2 dictating a lot of when the interaction happens, which is not what you want for Fnatic.
Yeah. Now SkewMond sitting pretty comfortably. Sundered Sky, a hard man to kill. Upset one of those long-range AD carries we're talking about earlier, right? If Razork can't finish the job, it's hard for anyone else to do it outside of maybe Oscarinin. Poby getting one shot does also hurt. Falling behind a bit in gold. But if he can land that multi-man Tibbers as he starts to approach mid, maybe this is the angle. Flash, ready. On top of cleanse and flash, but Labrov, no sums. He starts to play towards the bottom side of the map, and good game sense there. He could have lost his life.
There's just nice ward setups again from G2. You got one here, just here at the top of your screen.
There we go.
There you go.
That one.
But there's also just down over here another ward that's just teetering in there. That makes it very, very difficult for anyone on Fnatic to actually congregate on mid wave, especially as you got the speed up from Labrov. Hansama has that escape. You have to find some creative way to actually get in behind them.
Can be a bit tricky. Fnatic grouping. Will finally drop the Herald. Last game they weren't able to break mid. Only managed to find the charge. This time might be a bit different. Oscarinin. Just waiting, hoping the full 5 stack is enough. They're conceding a bit of pressure on the bottom side, but they should be able to break down mid-tier 1. I think good recognition from Fnatic on what makes them strong in the context of the game. It's not your skirmish power, it's the team fight, but it does mean giving up at least a little bit of pressure on bottom, maybe an entire wave, as Broken Blade happy to push in and simply use the tunnels to walk away, and now could even use the Tremor Sense for just free information.
Spots Oscarinin knows that someone has to catch that wave on bot, and this is what G2 were actually playing for was, oh, well, we're going to now catch mid-wave, and we get to enter into river as you have to go and defend the waves that we pushed in on top and bot, and then we get Dragon, right? So even though Fnatic got the mid-tower, G2 still played the long game, understanding that the waves are actually the more important part, so Dragon goes across.
Yeah. Excellent position there, now tying up 1-1. Next objective will result in defeats. Either side desperately needs it, but will certainly be a nice to have. All right, Alacon, chill. Damn. Nobody asked, and this man's just up there shouting. Fair enough. Oscarinin feeling a little bit better in 1v1 as Razork thinks he may have found a Labrov again. Labrov with no sums. They know the timing on the flash, just a few seconds. They really try to make it happen, but again, Razork's ult not getting them a kill. Just getting the heal, I actually think it's trading down.
That's what I was going to say, but like, look where you are on the map. You've got Poby only coming out of base. You already had the push and the move from Galio here. You've got Ezreal push and move here. Why are we looking for plays here, Fnatic? It just stinks of desperation and weird moments to try and look for these plays. They're just not playing off their wave states.
And we mentioned before, like, if you burn those sums, you need to be able to capitalize. But again, if you come into the next fight without a Wukong ultimate, nobody cares about the heal. And you didn't get the kill, so the flash being down doesn't matter as much. And it's a difficult situation where Razork has that big range of threat, right? But Poby and Mikyx really need angles. They don't have those big dashes. We don't even have a proto belt yet from Mikyx. And so if Upset is in position, it's just Razork by himself. And the Wukong is good, but the damage, it's not that high.
But it's also the fact that you are now way less of a threat as Razork's for Anakan or getting wave states, and G2 just call your bluff.
And again, this is just going to be a massive swing. It's going to be feats, it's going to be a giant influx of flowers and XP. Mikyx standing still, playing with the Tremor Sense here as they walk away. And for the second game, it's just G2 walking in and taking it. Fnatic not feeling confident. Again, they don't have the Wukong ulti, so they decide not to fight, but they should have had the Wukong ulti.
That's the thing, right? Like, Fnatic take a play where they cannot capitalize properly because of the positions of the waves. G2 then go, cool, you don't have a jungler that can be a real threat on any of these waves. We will push top and we will push mid. Now we have full control. We're going to set up vision in your jungle and we're going to take Anakan because you have no Wukong. Like, it's G2 just playing to capitalize on unforced errors from Fnatic and outplaying them.
I think that this is something like we're witnessing one, I mean, credit to G2, how well G2 are playing, but we're also witnessing a huge weakness for Fnatic, which is Broken Blade, right? Is this singular source of pressure, constantly pushing this side wave, puts Fnatic in a position where they feel like we need to do something. What happens when they're in that position? They screw it up. They've been screwing up. That's not to say they can't fix it in the future. That's not to say they can't pull the trigger with a man advantage and find the fight, but it feels pretty damn good for G2 when you go, we're going to push, and they're going to make a mistake.
But this is why we've heard the top team say, hey, look, Fnatic doesn't really get to hang with us. They haven't been able to step up, and this was their real first test, where people were like, okay, you're against G2. What has Summer brought to Fnatic? And unfortunately, it just doesn't really look like enough. G2 kind of playing with their food, and every single time, Fnatic haven't got to really do what they want to do.
Yeah, and look, I think the early game is more stable with Poby. We had some excellent moments when he was playing against lower tier teams for sure. But still, the team play, the coordination, we heard Odo on the desk talking about skipping steps, or in the case of this game, Fnatic maybe just getting over-eager. I mean, that said, again, Mikyx, Razork, huge veterans with tons of playmaking potential in this game. So all it would take is one big fight, or perhaps a deadly flourish as Poby kicks things off, and this time they'll find the kill. They burned a lot of ultimates there, but what's the conversion? What is the play? Good kill, keeping the gold close. Massive for the team overall. Broken Blade waiting off to the side, but
again, like, you've a minute now until this next dragon, and you now have no flash on Poby. Like, yes, it was nice to get a pick, but the pick doesn't really amount to anything, although Caps, yeah, phase rush out.
Yep.
So,
SkewMond still stepping up here. Now going to ulti. Ulti coming from Hansama. Backstep from Razork. SkewMond still going. This man does not care. Flash back in. Going to try and turn the fight. Razork finding the kill onto the jungler, but G2 just shepherding them, knowing they're faster, using those tunnels beautifully, and Razork just got nowhere to go. True damage from Broken Blade to get it done.
And double TP from Labrov and Caps. I think they want to look for the tier 2 on the top side off this wave as well and get more push. You've got Caps who can ultimate back over towards that dragon if needs be, and Fnatic get to capitalize on nothing. They then lose 2 members, and now the dragon is just in G2's favor.
Credit to G2 and credit to SkewMond. Honestly, that play looked a little unhinged. I was like, maybe he's strong enough, but has the necessary backup, and now it massively favors them. And again, you understand why Fnatic want more. The exact reason we said, right? Because they didn't really get anything from the previous play, so they want to keep the play going. The downside is they have disastrously miscalculated.
Especially because Oscarin's still in bot lane. Broken Blade is already rotated up to this play. They spotted him on mid-wave and still tried to make this happen. Razork eventually flashes back to make sure that he gets SkewMond, but again, like, you're kind of just trading what was already going to be your life for a kill back. I don't think the flash is worth this. These are some of the spells you'd much prefer for a potential scrap around objectives.
Yeah. The good news is, though G2 were able to get positioning, it was only positioning around the next Drake. Of course, Hexexal is terrifying, as is Broken Blade. Can't ulti to reach that tower aggro. Caps on the way down too. Poby trying to run as fast as he can, getting away. That's the taunt coming in. In the meantime, Broken Blade waiting for the reset, but Poby getting lower and lower. Labrov waiting. The Mantra Q coming in. The shield from Oscar trying to protect, but Broken Blade just keeps going. Now he's looking for the tunnel, trying to make the quick escape as Caps has already been caught up and potentially locked down. In the meantime, SkewMond sprinting up to the Baron, trying to get vision control back, knowing they may have bit off more than they can chew. Razork still going in. Knock up onto Broken Blade, denies one tunnel, but he's just got another one.
The secret tunnels are everywhere, Drakos!
Through the mountain, baby! Oh my gosh. That man's an Avatar fan. Razork, though, again, this is the struggle, is you know you have a brief advantage. You're really trying to capitalize. Curtain call going out. Mikyx, flash, 2-man knockup. Nice reaction coming in from Labrov. Hansama a little bit slow, but still manages to make it to safety. Broken Blade, again, another tunnel. Will manage to make it away, and it's a messy, scrappy skirmish. Poby will be up momentarily, as will Caps. Mikyx finding the initial lockdown. Good ulti onto 2 from Hansama. Upset going to be forced back a little bit.
Fnatic are trying everything that they can to get these plays to work out, but in the long run, it's 1 for 1, mid laner for mid laner, and G2 don't end up falling off the back of investments again on Fnatic's side. It's looking a little rough. Again, like, the scoreboard is stalemate, essentially, when you look towards the gold, but it's just the way G2 are playing the map is better.
The pressure is just so in favor of G2. They're getting Ward set up first. Vision so easy, and again, 2-0-0, good scoreline for Broken Blade, but I just can't sing this guy's praises enough. This Rek'Sai has done an unreasonable amount of work this game, and just having Oscar has just not been able to participate. That last fight was the closest he got, and Broken Blade is just solo killing the tower. Meanwhile, TP in the mid lane. Poby definitely trying to turn something back. Stun, ready to go. Only hits one!
Fnatic have to run for the hills.
Now backing up. Broken Blade just steps back. Overcommitted there for a bit. Captive audience onto Broken Blade, but they don't really have the damage. Poby no longer in the fight. Fighting a man down. Hansama, no ulti. Broken Blade, no ulti. Maybe Fnatic feel like they can get something. But G2, just by walking to the Baron, can force Fnatic to respond.
Fnatic need vision. There is 1 blue ward available, and G2 are on towards the objective. Caps hiding out of vision.
Reading off to the side, ready to taunt in, taunt down. Razork backstepping, but Broken Blade can just find him. Wait for the knockup. Hansama and SkewMond taking a decent amount of time to finish the objective. Upset looking for an angle, but he's standing on a ward. Labrov ready to go forward. SkewMond in. Broken Blade stepping up. Knock up there. Mikyx going to use it defensively. Slowly Broken Blade's being chipped away, but it's just not nearly enough damage. He's still standing tall. G2 continue to find the angles. The taunt connecting onto Razork. Down goes Fnatic's jungler. Fnatic forced out of the pit. Poby is finally here, but it's too damn late.
They've already fallen. G2 peel off the Baron, immediately take down Fnatic. And there's just so little they can do. Phoebe doesn't care. Upset's just whacking him in the face.
I mean, he has so much armor already, and Upset has to go rapid fire cannon so he can poke from a distance, I guess. Has, you know, lethality, which probably felt good early. The extra movement speed good against his composition, but it just, he's unkillable. There you go, there's Baron.
The unkillable Demon Queen in the mid lane will actually turn out.
Damn. I did not expect this. This level of dominance, you know what? I could see how people consider G2 favorite. I could see it even if I believed in Poby. But this level of dominance, Rob, I was not prepared.
But this is so sick to see from G2.
Yeah.
Like when you look back at winter and spring, it was kind of how is it working? How's it going? Is Mikyx?
SkewMond goes in. Might just keep chasing Poby.
He's going to kill Poby.
Oh my god, Poby dies too. Is everybody going to die? Not Broken Blade.
No, Broken Blade does not die. Yeah. He's going to stay at a lovely 0 in the middle of his 2-0-2 for the rest of this game. But yeah, again, here, you're kind of forced to try and do something. But the peel is great. Broken Blade gets in the middle. And even Mikyx tries to go with the ult, but the knock-up had already come through from Broken Blade, which means he can't really get access to the back line. Immediately captures the follow-up, and you're just running for the hills. And this is kind of one of the downsides of the composition from Fnatic. You don't really have that consistent DPS from your mid and AD carry. You're reliant on Razork to provide it. But when you don't have these tools and this snowball from the early game, Fnatic just don't really have enough to carry them through.
No, and they all need to be on the same page, right? And it's a difficult situation where if you had gotten something like the Rumble, we can see how much easier this could have been. But with the K'Sante, he can do a lot of damage when he goes all out, but he needs to be in the right position. And G2 are just staying at arm's length until it's a fight they want to take.
But also, you started this game with 3 kills onto Razork, and Fnatic just couldn't find a way to get that value out of him. And I think that also is a lot due to how G2 were able to set up the map. But
are built out. G2 continuing the siege. You're right. I mean, credit to G2 for the map setup.
But it kind of says, again, Fnatic just are unsure about how they want to try and get these leads and extend them.
Yep. Fnatic have claimed an objective bounty as their minions kill the topside tower. They're doing their best to hold on here, stop the siege. Root from Mikyx does not connect. Oscarinin trading his life just to get a bit more space. Broken Blade just tunneling back. In the meantime, mid lane will die. I mean, again, G2 playing on 2 points of pressure. There's not really a lot Fnatic can do. They don't have good wave clear. That is the other awkward thing. There's an IE finally for upset, but it's not going to help him kill Broken Blade.
But even if you dive in, who are you getting here? Well, we're about to find out.
3 members is what he's going to be able to get, but Captain's already ready with a disengage ultimate, and the rest of the team isn't in a position to follow up. Poby drops the bear, but the bear does not matter. This is not a Michelin star restaurant. It's an absolute slaughter. And again, here comes Broken Blade to keep the pressure going. Tunnels there. Doesn't even need to go through the mountain. He's happy just going through Fnatic. G2 effortless on the final push, denying any follow-up on the engage, but now the curtain call comes out. Upset safe in the base. Third bullet going wide. Fourth will connect on the Labrov, but it's not enough to get the kill. G2, they take too much time here, and it probably won't matter. Instant engage, down they go. Broken Blade laughing all the way to the bank on that one. An ace and an end. G2 obliterate Fnatic.
That was incredible from G2. Control from start to finish, never overextending. This is the G2 that we feared would come back to the LEC, and by God are they back.
Yeah. Of course, an impressive stuff. We'll see if Fnatic can rally, right? The first really big challenge, a playoffs preview. They wouldn't face each other in the first round, but likely could be in that upper bracket matchup if each of them can overcome their opponents. Of course, you can vote now for your Kia Player of the Series, SkewMond, Caps, or Ponsama at LEC on X. It's a good look. The real question is, does Broken Blade know the Secret Tunnel song?